Okay.
Artlist.io.
Okay.
Greetings, world. Welcome to the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast. I am Melanie, the Hip Hop Scholar, and I'm thrilled to have you with us on this first podcast where we talk all things hip hop. Today, our topic is going to be Two's Company, the iconic rap duos of then and now. And this is a part one of a multi-part series where we're going to discuss the partnerships and the duoism that we see in rap. So we noticed that there are many collaborators. You can have a group of people that rhyme and rap. You also can have the solo artists. But today we're going to look at the duo, the two people that are put together into a partnership in order to share out their lyric skills. Now, hip hop always has been a game of chemistry. Sometimes it's crew love, sometimes it's friendly fire, but some of the most powerful verses that we've ever come across come in pairs. Today, we're breaking down some of the most iconic rap duos, and we'll look at the span of several decades. Today, we're going to be focused where it began in the 1980s. Now, whether it's turntables, on the microphone, bars, and beats, these dynamic duos shape the sound of their eras. And so I'm thrilled to reintroduce to some. All right. So if you are, around my age range, my era, these are artists that you are well familiar with. And to some, you may be introduced to these artists. And what the fascinating piece about this is that these are artists that have inspired a lot of our contemporary artists. So you'll hear a lot of the styles are similar to what we see today. And that is the growth and that is our roots when it comes to the journey of hip hop. Now, without further ado, I want to share our first duo that we will talk about in our podcast today. Our very first duo, no other than Eric B. and Rakim. As you can see right here. And I think this is super cool how we got to have this set up on the podcast. Eric B. and Rakim. Now, this is a duo. Now, this is also the DJ and the microphone connection. DJ and the microphone connection, or the MC. So this gentleman beside me with this fly chain, this is DJ Eric B. He is the DJ that dealt with the music and the beats and the rhymes when it came to the rapper Rakim. Okay, so we have DJ Eric B. and this is Rakim with their flashy and very majestic gold that they have on there. Now, some of the notable songs and albums that most people are familiar with, you have I Ain't No Joke, Paid in Full, and even Eric B. is President. Now, again, Rakim, he revolutionized lyricism with internal rhyme schemes and really complex flows. He came with a very particular type of rhyme scheme and storytelling that was very new to the scene. He relied on very specific stack type of syllabic wordplay to share out his rhyme scheme, while DJ Eric B brought the beats, the heavy beats, and did a lot of sampling. So with that, the album Paid in Full, this was recorded in 1 week. Now, keep in mind, this is the 80s. This is well before CDs, well before there was any digital technology. This is where we had the analog and the cassette tapes. Do you remember handling cassette tapes, like having to roll that sheet of paper and put it in that corner if it didn't come with that flap and all? Do you remember that? So that you could press record and so on and so forth. So keep that in mind, that the inaugural hip-hop albums were made using analog and not all the digital technology that we have today. We did have equalizers, but also the use of the turntables where it was very manually done. So Paid in Full, the album came out in 1987, and they were able to make that classic in just 1 week. Now, many people are familiar with Paid in Full, the actual movie, and that movie starred Mekhi Phifer along with a great cast. That movie came out in 2002, no doubt inspired by the album Paid in Full. But keep in mind that Paid in Full was first an album by the iconic duo Eric B. and Rakim. Now, DJ Eric B, he helped define the golden age of hip hop with soulful, sample heavy beats. So when you think of sampling, you may think of Dr. Dre, but you also will have to put Eric B in that tier as well. That would sample different songs and place that in beats to give that rhythm, to give that rhyme, and to give that punch. When Rakim would bring the lyrical skills that he really possessed and showcase that on the microphone. Rakim is often credited with elevating the emceeing to a form of poetry with this calm, methodical delivery. And so he wasn't the type to really be very ostentatious. He was very calm, and his presence really stood to show his strength and his majesty as the rapper that he truly is and encompass. So he was one of the first to really have that type of rhyme scheme in the way that he gave it. One of the lyrics that comes to mind comes from I Ain't No Joke, one of those notable songs from them. Thinking of a master plan, because ain't nothing but sweat inside my hands. So I dig into my pocket on my money spent, so I dig deeper, but I'm still coming up with lint. I wonder if you've ever been so broke that there was absolutely no money, nothing that you could actually grasp to make ends meet. And keep in mind, again, this is the 80s. There are no, credit cards, debit cards. This is not something that we saw. This is currency money and coins, cash money that we're talking about and dealing with in this scope. And so one of the many, many layers and things that I love about hip hop is how it inspires everyone to truly have that confidence when faced with any type of oppression. And when you're faced with any type of a challenge or an issue, you still hold your head. Then coming up with a master plan to figure out how to get out of the situation that they were placed in at the time. So I did some research, and what I found in this research, this comes from the New York Times. This was published back in 2018. The title of this is Getting Crafty in the Bronx, Eric B. and Rakim on Tour. So this author, I appreciate the way that they actually wrote this article on Eric B. and Rakim. It goes on to say that no one rapped like Rakim in the late 80s heyday. He was ultra focused, somersaulting through complex rhyme patterns easily, like it was nothing. Like he was just so talented. And that's that talent to be able to, either write your rhymes and even come up with those in such a melodic and poetic way. It says that this duo, the DJ Eric B and Rakim, they had 4 albums together between the years of 1987 and 1992, which are significant touchstones for a certain strain of hip hop lyricism. And that's absolutely true that this article states, because there are different forms of lyrical styles that we see in rap music in the hip hop culture. And we're going to unpack that here on this platform. We'll talk about all things hip hop and show all the different types of rap and the influences of such that show us the hip hop culture. So this is just a very start to unpacking everything. Now, he also goes on to say in this article about Rakim's revolutionary style, where you see it in some contemporary rappers. You'll see it in Jay-Z's authoritative tone and his style, among others. And then even notable, Kendrick Lamar's precisely stacked syllables. And that's what the article states. And this is back in 2018, even giving precedent to Lamar's beautiful rhyme scheme as well. So also it says that after 92, they ended up splitting, Rakim going to do a solo project, but they actually came back together to do a one-time reunion show at the Apollo Theater in New York. They even did a brief of a tour. They went to Boston, New York, as well as Philadelphia. They were able to, mourn other great artists before their time. And then also it was just a golden opportunity to celebrate the 2 originators who are still around to hear the applause. And this was back in 1998. So shout out to New York, Boston, and Philadelphia, the Apollo Theater as well. If you were a concert goer and actually went to one of those shows, please get in contact with me. I would love to interview you and unpack. It was 1000 at gmail.com. One day, maybe I'll be able to actually interview rappers and artists and producers on this platform. But also, I want to talk to the people like myself who are hip hop heads, who are hip hop scholars, and just all the way around, just what it does to just make life worth living and have that soundtrack of that rap music behind you to really get your day going. So Eric B and Rakim, we give them a shout out and a salute when it comes to the duoism in hip hop. All right, so it's very formidable for us to start with Eric B and Rakim, but I also want to go into another duo that is very much so popular, and this one's for the ladies. Yes, Salt and Pepper. Now, not Salt and Pepper. We're talking about Salt and Pepper. These women, iconic in so many ways, being one of the first duos to actually come to play. Now, they did have a DJ Spinderella, where technically it could be stated that they are a trio, but for the purposes of this podcast and just by the mechanics of what the actual performance was, we're going to look at Salt and Pepper as the duo that they are, that were the lyrical geniuses behind this stage named Salt and Pepper. Some of the more notable songs of theirs, Let's Talk About Sex, as well as Push It. I think we all remember Push It and even hear that in a lot of commercials these days as well. A quote from Cheryl Salt James is, we were feminists before it was cool. So they were all about supporting women to be their most best selves, to be confident in all that they do, well before it was even, cool to do so. They were the first female rap group to actually go platinum. And keep in mind, this is the 80s. So to go platinum, even multi-platinum, was, people going out to the stores to purchase the vinyl, to purchase the cassette tapes, even to order those, not online. You have to make a phone call or even write in those CDs and order those things. There was a process where it was a bit more of a challenge to become platinum than it is today. No digital. This is still all analog. Now, the song Push It was actually a B-side track. And for those that are not familiar with cassette tapes, there were two sides to a cassette tape. You had the A side and you had the B side. And so a lot of the more notable songs, or your best songs, were shown on the A side of the cassette tape, and then the B side were the other songs that you put together. But Push It was actually and originally a B-side track that unexpectedly became a massive hit. They openly addressed topics like sex and relationships, breaking taboos in hip hop. And so that actually inspired groups like TLC, T-Boz, Left Eye, and Chili to talk about sex openly and safe sex and relationships, and being able to discuss that in not such a quiet manner. Like, they were very open and very in your face when it came to sex and relationships in the 80s, and that's truly inspiring of things that we see today when it comes to sex and relationships as well. Salt and Pepper, they won a Grammy in 1995 for the best rap performance by a duo or a group. So as one of the first female groups to go platinum, and one of the few female duos, if not female artists around that time, there were very few. They actually were able to earn a Grammy amongst their male counterparts. And so special shout out to Salt and Pepper for doing that in a time where women were still struggling to be heard and respected. They were trailblazers for women in hip hop, inspiring countless female artists who followed. And that's so very true in not only in their rap style, but also in their fashion. Their fashion was also something that was noted. But with their lyrics, one of the songs that I really remember, and I was too young to be talking about at the time, but it was a song, None of Your Business. And I mean, they were loud, they were screaming in the microphone. If I want to take a guy home for the night, it's none of your business. And if she want to be a freak and get it on the weekend, it's none of your business. And I mean, this is that call and response, right? That's that African diaspora oral tradition of having that call and response where, it's none of your business what I decide to do with my body. And that was just a lovely thing to see Black women especially being unafraid and non-negotiable to what they want for others to see of themselves. And these women are so beautiful in all that they do. So one article that I have, this is from 2024, so it's very recent. This comes from The Guardian in London, England. And so this article is titled Born Cool, While the Varsity Jacket is Still Leader of the Pack. Originally the preserve of Ivy League sportsmen, the jacket has seen incarnations from the likes of Salt and Pepper, Palace, and Prada. So Salt and Pepper were fashionistas with the Push It video when they had those leather varsity jackets, and everybody wanted those. And they were so beautiful and colorful. This is the 80s going into the 90s, the color scheme of it, and just the fly. They had the fly girls, right? If you ever seen them live in color, and just the 90s style as it is, it was such a strong presence to have that style to it, which was reminiscent of hip hop culture, as it were. It says here, of course, by the 90s, everyone was wearing Letterman jackets, and the item have been fully adopted into hip hop fashion alongside preppy brands such as Polo and Tommy Hilfiger. Classic American styles associated with wealth and class, and artists such as Salt and Pepper were known to wear the varsity jackets, with the latter wearing iconic all-leather Lettermans designed by Dapper Dan. And this was in that Push It video in 1987. So their designer, Dapper Dan, he actually pushed a movement in the hip hop culture with that leather Letterman varsity jacket. So if you are one of those fly guys or fly girls that still has their leather jacket, send me a picture. I would love to post that in the podcast. And I hope you still wear it to this day, because that is a classic. That is more than just vintage. That is such a classic nod to what hip hop culture really is and what it truly shows and shares. And I'm just so thankful to grow up in an era to be able to be inspired by women like Salt and Pepper. And I'm gonna throw DJ Spinderella in there as well, but we are focused on the duos of their lyrical ability and their presence on the stage and even on the microphone. So earning a Grammy and being all that they are, shout out and much love to Salt and Pepper for sure. All right, so switching gears. So the next artist that I'd like to present in the duos in the 80s, we have DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. You can see here in this old school picture here. For those of you all who are familiar with DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, your first impression of them may have been on the show The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But for many of us, we knew DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince as rappers. When I remember this memory when I was 5 years old, my mom and dad purchased the cassette tape for me. That was my very, very first cassette tape, because I remember they had a song named Damn on the cassette tape, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to listen to that, but thank you. I was just so happy that I had the cassette tape with DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. They had songs like Parents Just Don't Understand and Summertime, along with some other classics. And so what we know especially about them is that not only did they have the representation of Philly, West Philadelphia in the building, but they also had such talent to grow from this. As a duo, they won the very first ever Grammy for the best rap performance in 1989, but the award ceremony wasn't even televised. So mind you that they not only did they win the first ever Grammy, it wasn't recorded, it wasn't placed on TV for whatever reason, but they were the first ever to do so. Will Smith, if you're unfamiliar with the Fresh Prince, I'm certain you know Will Smith. He became a Hollywood star, a mogul even, but starting with his roots in hip hop. Their style blended humor and storytelling, making hip hop accessible to wider audiences. So that's one of the great things, many great things of hip hop, especially as this duo shares, is that, hip hop can encompass many cultures in so many different ways. And so the lyrical style, their style very different than Rakim, what we saw earlier, right? The humor and the storytelling, Fresh Prince wrote the lyrics to the opening of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in West Philadelphia. Born and raised on the playground is where I spent most of my days, chilling out, maxing, relaxing off pool, and I was, there you go, and a couple of guys, they were up to no good. Yeah, I know you're singing with me. And so even with the graffiti, even in that storytelling essence, which a lot of other rappers caught on to as well, they use that storytelling to share a story, to share memories, especially with the parents just don't understand. You know, they gave that first person perspective of being a youth and talking about the troubles of trying to grow up and becoming who they are. And, you know, they really took that opportunity to show that out in a lyrical fashion. The DJ Jazzy Jeff, he's known for pioneering the transformer scratch and other DJ techniques. So shout out to DJ Jazzy Jeff, who I see on TikTok a lot, still giving those concerts as the true DJ that he is, with his notable sunglasses that he has on. And, you know, he was one of the first to really pioneer that transforming scratch on the turntables, right? And again, you know, I keep saying this for the 80s, that this is not digital. You know, a lot of times now we see a lot of DJs and it sounds amazing. You know, we all can definitely, you know, get into the rhythm and the rhyme with the DJs that we have today. But we have to also remember where we have to plug that in. And these are real vinyls. This is them going to the shops and making these purchases and having to research and think about and practice so much, you know, placing these songs and scratches together and the practice that went with it. You know, one example of that is the movie Juice, and where you have Omar Epps. He is the protagonist of this movie, and he's actually in a DJ turntable type of a competition, and he's practicing. He has his cassette tapes, he's recording, and even in that long line for the tryouts, Queen Latifah, she was the you know, the director and the one of the people that put that together. You know, they notice his talent, and it takes a lot of practice. You know, if you have an old school turntable, if you ever had the opportunity to be on one, you know, you have to be quite savvy and knowledgeable and wise when it comes to that turntable scratch, when it came to that analog. And that's how we have the digital analog, the video games. I know there was a turntable video game at one point to practice that, but it all started with DJs like DJ Jazzy Jeff. One song, their song Summertime, became a seasonal anthem. I mean, even to this day, anytime it's getting ready to be the summertime, I'm singing it myself. Here it is, a groove slightly transformed, just a little of a break from the norm, just a little something to break the monotony for all that. Yeah, I know that's right. Summertime. Yeah, that is DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Even the video, I love the video of it because it shows a family reunion. It shows just a playful, lovely time of being a child or growing up in that era. And it's like it says here, celebrated for its laid back vibe and nostalgic feel. Like Summertime will always just be that classic song. It's always, for every summer, that is the summertime song for me. So shout out to DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, and welcoming everyone to remember who they are from when that was there. Okay. Still have a few more duos that we want to share. Now, I have a really nice one, and I know this one a lot of people know, not just as rappers, but also on the screen. So this picture I have, this is House Party. And this portrait, or this mural, actually came from out of Bangkok. But this is for the duo Kid and Play. Yes, Kid and Play. Both of them are named Christopher, and they came up with the group Kid and Play. They have songs like Rolling with Kid and Play, Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody, and really they're really known for their dancing. Okay, so their dancing is what's really put them on the map, because not only did they rap, but they would dance and put these dances together and make it so much fun. They're known for their iconic high top fade hairstyles. So Kid, right here, this is Kid, and then this is Play. All right, so Kid and Play. Now, Kid had this very, very high top fade. hairstyle that, everybody tried to grow. I know my brothers even tried to grow their hair out to be as tall as can be back in the 80s. But they were very known for that type of a hairstyle where they had the high top fade and the fade out on the sides. They bridged music and film culture with their popular house party movies. And at one point, they had the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most movies as a rapper, because they had House Party, the original, House Party 2, House Party 3, and Class Act. So they were so talented that not only did they rap, not only did they dance, but they also starred and produced these great movies, these classic movies that we all know and love. And they featured a lot of great artists. They had Full Force on their movies. Martin Lawrence would be on their movies. Tisha Campbell was on their movies. And I mean, just a lot of so many different people that started there getting their movie debuts from the group Kid and Play. Their energetic dance-oriented style made them crowd favorites in both the late 80s and the early 90s. So if you were anywhere around the world in the 80s and the 90s, you are very aware of who Kid and Play were. And I'm certain you know that dance too, right? I know. I'm not going to get up and show you the dance, but maybe one day, I'll be able to show you that dance, and because everybody knows it, and they even still learn the steps to the dance to this day. Christopher Reed also became a TV actor. He's still a TV actor and host after the duo's peak. And Play went on to actually go into the ministry and become a pastor where he is from. Their choreography, especially the Kid and Play kick step, that's the name of it, became a signature move in hip hop dance, both then and now. So Kid and Play, they have such notoriety around the world. And so many people who knew them as artists didn't know that they actually were actors and vice versa. All right, so I do have an article here. So this article talks about, and I want to first say this is The Nation, April 2nd, 1990. So I was able to find an article from the 1990, and this talks about their movie House Party. So House Party was produced by Hudlin's brother Warrington, a filmmaker in his own right and co-founder of the Black Filmmaker Foundation. In most enlightening quarters, he is regarded as something of a hero. Reginald, meanwhile, has been waiting for a half dozen years for his breakthrough as a writer and director, having caught people's attention with an early student version of House Party, and with the hilariously tacky short film Reggie's World of Soul. But the Hudlin brothers, they made the mainstream distribution with that movie that's bright, cheerful, and occasionally acerbic. It should be a big hit, and it was a big hit. It still is a big hit. I remember seeing it on a VCR, and even seeing it just as a youth, and just wanting to rewatch it all over and all over again. The story is about teenagers holding a party. Kid is a would-be rapper with a haircut of extreme proportions. His hard-working father, Robin Harris, he was in Do the Right Thing, but Robin Harris was a comedian back in the day, one of the greatest comedians ever before his passing, when he played Kid's father in the movie. Kids will be kids, and Kid was grounded. African-American teenagers will hold loud, lively parties, and love will blossom between Kid and Sydney, Tisha Campbell, and Shireen, A.J. Johnson. We know A.J. Johnson from Baby Boy, a wonderful actress as well. And Tisha Campbell, Shireen, and Sydney, they were best friends in the movie, and they also would dance too. So shout out to Tisha Campbell and A.J. Johnson with their dance moves as well. There's music, dancing, hit or miss jokes, and a lot of useful morals for the audience to take home. And again, this is back in the 90s, the 80s rather. This article was posted in 1990, but this movie came out around 88, 89. And it's wonderful to see that this was one of the first movies that were out there giving a positive portrayal of Black teens. And so much fun, like, the struggles of growing up. I know in the movie, Kid's mother had passed away, and Robin Harris is the single parent trying to make certain that he's on track and he's doing what he's supposed to do. But it's such a wonderful movie to watch. It's fun. It has the dancing. It has such great innuendos when it comes to different things. So if you haven't seen House Party, be certain to do so. Show your children, that is a classic. That is something that should be shown And I think studied as well. I think that should also be part of like a film class where you look at the different types of movies at this time frame and being able to do all of these things. And that is the amazing duo of Kid and Play, not just in America, but all over the world, loved as the duo that they are. So shout out to Kid and Play for all they have given to hip hop culture altogether. All right. So we have another group. I think I have two more groups after this. So we have this group, and I wonder if you are familiar with the group Nice and Smooth. Yes, this is another 80s duo. Sometimes I rhyme slow, sometimes I rhyme quick. I'm sweeter and thicker than a Chico stick. Here's an ice cream. Oh, man, this is some old school melodic type of rap too. And they also had a song, Funky for You. They combined witty, smooth flows with catchy hooks that help them stand out in NYC's competitive hip hop scene. So I want to bring Nice and Smooth into that because this is something my siblings and I, we listen to them a lot, especially on MTV and BET. But this was very different than the regular normative of NYC rapping. So they mixed music with humor and storytelling with a jazzy production. So think Diggable Planets, think of that jazzy type feel. This all started with groups like Nice and Smooth, and they developed that and started that there. They, especially with underground hip hop rap. And I'm going to bring up underground hip hop along with the mainstream. They influenced the underground and mainstream rap scenes alike with their unique style. They were a very unique duo that had a very different sound that almost kind of sounded like they were singing a bit while they were rapping and giving their flow to the beat. Their 91 album, Ain't a Damn Thing Changed, is praised for its fusion of humor and lyrical skill. But they started in the 80s. They had some very old school type of videos that we would see and were shown. There wasn't a lot of articles that were shown in Nice and Smooth, so I'll probably be writing something because they also should have a space in hip hop history. And so I will be bringing them into some scholarship and writing that. And that's what we need. I tell my college students a lot that there is room for every passion in academia. You don't have to just be so linear and one-sided when it comes to the things that you want to be. You can do what you want and what you're most passionate about. And I am very much so passionate about hip hop. Anybody that knows me, has ever grown up with me, elementary, middle school, high school, college, and beyond, they know that, hip hop was very true to who I am and who I was. And I want to make certain that, like Greg Nice in this group, Nice and Smooth, he was known for his charismatic, playful delivery, contrasting with smooth B's deeper voice, and they really played well off of each other. And it's unfortunate that I'm not able to find I couldn't find really any articles that talked about and celebrated this duo, Nice and Smooth. So if you're able to find any, or if you want to talk about that or contribute to some literature that can ensure that they are there as a classic nod to hip hop culture, you know how to get in contact with me. I would love to discuss and put that together. All right. So shout out to Nice and Smooth, Greg Nice and Smooth B. You all definitely earned a spot in the hip hop kingdom for sure. Okay, last but not least, I would be remiss to not have this duo. And I think it is very wonderful to have them as my last group because they truly are a group that should be respected and known. No other than Pete Rock and CL Smooth. Okay, so we know Pete Rock and CL Smooth. Will they reminisce over you as well as straighten it out? CL Smooth is the rapper, which is this guy right here. And then Pete Rock, he is the DJ as well, though they both can rap. But CL Smooth, one of the most notable songs that's not only a rap song, but it's on a lot of video games and a lot of tracks and movies and shows, is the song They Reminisce Over You. Begins, I reminisce for a spell, or should I say think back. I can't think of it offhand. I'm just overcome with just having the honor to share this with you. But Will They Reminisce Over You? My God, that is, one of the most iconic songs ever. They widely considered one of the greatest hip hop tracks ever made, a tribute to their friend Troy Dixon, Trouble T. Roy. This was dedicated to T. Roy, their friend who had passed away, and that's what the song is remembered for. Count all the fingers and the toes. Now I suppose you hope the little black boy grows. 18 years younger than my father. Yeah, I remember the song. I can't think of every single thing, but that's not my position here on the podcast. I'm not just here to speak the lyrics, but I'm here to unpack the lyrics, to decode them. Pete Rock, he was known for his masterful use of soul and jazz samples, especially the horns, helping define the East Coast boom bap sound. Right, so we just talked about Nice and Smooth with that jazz rendition, and so looking at the East Coast boom bap sound, and these are the pioneers of such, to bring that that jazz funk, rap mix. They coalesced everything into making magic, into making these songs that you hear, in so many different places, in so many different ways. CL Smooth's lyrics often focused on personal reflection, Black identity, and uplifting messages, setting them apart from hardcore contemporaries. So, still into that confidence that, people can find themselves in a dystopian, environment. But it was just done in a way where it's just personally reflected and just showcased in a way that, just makes them a classic. Such vintage writers that brought so much. And again, like it says, one of the greatest hip hop tracks ever made. They reminisce over you. If you are a gamer, I'm more than certain, especially those basketball games, that's one that I can think offhand. That's their song. That is Pete Rock's beat that you hear. Their debut album, Mecca and the Soul Brother, is a classic, blending consciousness with musical sophistication. And although they only released 2 full albums together, their influence on producers and lyricists spans decades. So shout out to Pete Rock and CL Smooth. They definitely are part of my hip hop history. And what I definitely remember when it comes to remembering Pete Rock and CL Smooth and, rap all together. This last article that I have came out in 1998, the New York Amsterdam News. Pete Rock's a soul survivor. His record label targets the youth and uplifting the youth. This was written by Charles Roger. As an aficionado and a prolific producer, Pete Rock, a living hip-hop legend, soon re-enters the top of the charts with the song Soul Survivor, a much anticipated debut solo album. So a lot of the duos started together, but then they would go into their solo projects as well, right? Sometimes when you work as a partnership, then going off on your own to, find your own rhythm, pun intended. And that's what he did here. And there's still some other notable duos that they talk about, but in this article, reaching out to the youth, a new record label in Manhattan was formed in the summer as a summer internship. And it was just something to give back to the youth that Pete Rock was instrumental in ensuring. And the article keeps going on. There are so many other artists that are named here. You have Tupac Shakur that helped to raise some money to help with this solo CD masterpiece. The Hitbound album is slated for the September 98 release. But also making this money to ensure that they have these proceeds to support the slain rapper at the time for Tupac Shakur, and then just being able to, give nod and give support to the community around them. And that's such a hip hop thing where it's about community. It's about being a part of a community and being able to contribute to that community as well. That is truly the essence of what hip hop is. And so with Nice and Smooth, Salt and Pepper, Pete Rock, CL Smooth, all the artists that we talked about, Eric B. and Rakim, DJ Jazzy Jeff, and the Fresh Prince, this is just a microcosm to the artists that contributed to hip hop from the very onstart and beginning of what we see now as a movement, as a true kingdom and a royal stance in the world that is around us. So shout out to all the artists that were presented today. And again, this is just the beginning. I'm the hip hop scholar, Melanie, and this conversation is just the start of something wonderful. And I would love to talk to you and unpack this with you. as we go on this journey together. And I want to thank you so very much for being here with me today. I hope to see you in my next podcast. We're going to continue to look into the duos, looking into the 90s, where the 90s has some great duos as well. And we're going to talk about all things hip hop, all things rap, and be able to move forward from there. So this is Bigger Than the Music. And I hope to see you on the next installment. Subscribe and like, and I'll see you soon. Peace.